debating in the FGC about if Cat Stream for sure. Yeah, she's on the floor rolling around asking for attention. I'm not giving it to her. There's a big debate between whether Hitbox is cheating or not, and I doubt it. I would never call Hitbox cheating. Let me move my camera up a little. There we go. There we go. Yeah, it was probably too low before. If Hitbox is cheating or not, right? Because of the SOCD shortcuts and the fact that there's certain things that you can do on a Hitbox that you literally cannot do on a lever, right? Or that you cannot do on a controller. That's what people say. I don't really think, I don't think that Hitbox is cheating. Let's just get that out of here. I believe I've talked about this already. I also don't believe that it should be banned. Same thing with Pad, right? I don't think Pad's cheating. It's a little weird, like you can do kind of fucked up things on it, but if the game allows those things, let it rock, right? Now, enter a new device. It's called the Antagonist. It's a new PCB that Buttercade made that's going to have some new implications for fighting games. And those are that the things that you can do on an arcade stick, on a lever, are going to be matched somewhat on an arcade stick, right? Let's just go ahead and watch this little video, and then I'll show you guys the hardware and show you guys what it's about. I don't own one, and there's a reason. I'll get into that here in a second. Turn this joint up. It's kind of low. Doesn't want to be here. Doesn't want to be here. Okay, so here we go. So the way that the Antagonist works is apparently there's profiles, right? This is Antagonist mode, there's profiles. It's an additional button and PCB inside of your arcade stick. This is a 3-minute video where all they do is basically show the main thing. The main thing that we need to see here, right, is this, right? When he presses a direction, it gives you something, right? So up gives you down, left gives you right, right gives you left when you press that button, right? And I'll show you guys basically what it means. And this is for booms, right? So there's apparently 2 different modes. There's like a flash kick mode and a boom mode. Because the easiest thing to think about for this kind of device is that it's meant to help keep your charge, right? And I'll show you guys what I mean by that here in a second. Let's go ahead and go back. Go back and let's watch this 3-minute video. This one is way better. I think this is an amazing 3-minute video. You guys should watch Johnny Phrase if you guys like arcade stick hardware. My face isn't in the way. Look at his hands. See that small button down there?
Booms, I can just hold back, press Antagonist, and punch, and I get a boom. Crazy.
This might actually finally be fucking cheating.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Johnny Phrase.
See,
over the past few...
I'm gonna pause it.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Johnny.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra buttons. I'm real confused. This must be a hitbox with the Antagonist button. That's what I'm assuming is going on here. If it's holding a button for you that's already banned in tournaments, hey, what's up? How you doing? What's good, Tempting Tragedy?
Over the past few years, fighting game controllers have seen some advancements both in the commercial and DIY spaces. All button controllers.
Wait, join my cord. It's so dead.
Have lowered the price of entry for high execution combos due to the precision of
I am in your cord
over traditional levers.
Talking about right now at this exact moment.
Where does this leave traditional joystick users? Enter the Antagonist, Buttercade's solution to help close the execution
gap. Join VC right now. Hold on,
controllers and joystick users.
Let's watch this first.
Now it's a small PCB
that
installs in between.
I have words. All right, we'll pop you in after we finish the 3 minutes. I got you.
To a button, it acts sort of like a shift key for your joystick. In tandem with the
tags, it
allows the box have lowered the price of entry for high execution combos due to the precision of button presses.
Let's watch this real quick, and then we'll pop in Eric for some words.
So where does this leave traditional joystick users? Enter the Antagonist, Buttercade's solution to help close the execution gap between all button style controllers and joystick users. Now it's a small PCB that installs in between your arcade stick's main PCB and your lever. When wired to a button, it acts sort of like a shift key for your joystick. In tandem with the tacks, it allows for things joystick users have been missing out on. So here's how it works. Buttercade provided this diagram on how the Antagonist functions. It uses the numeric notation scheme, so here's how it translates.
I love this. This is perfect, right? So any back direction, any down direction gives you 8, right? 3 is forward. That's kind of weird, right? Yeah, cat stream, free cat stream. 1, 2, and 3 give you 8. 4 gives you 6. 5 gives you 5, of course. 6 gives you 4. 7, 8, and 9 give you Yeah, this is really cool. It's actually really cool, but I'm 100% positive it's cheating.
1 is down back.
Because you have to think about this. This button right here can be multiple things. It's an SOCD cleaner. It's almost like a modifier, right? This doesn't sound like cheating. It's a modifier. It's not a macro, right?
2 is down, and 3 is down forward. It will output as 8, which is jump. 4 is back. It will output as 6, which is forward. 5 is neutral. It will output again as neutral. 6 is forward. It will output as 4, which is back. 7 is up back. It will output as 6, which is forward.
That's what I was going to say.
It's
very similar to something we already have on the market.
2, which is down. And lastly, 9 is up forward. It will output as 4, which is back. Now that that's out of the way, here's some examples of how it can actually help your gameplay. For charge attacks like Gal's Flash Kick, you can use the Antagonist to execute the move without ever letting go of down charge. This results in the fastest possible charge time for Flash Kicks. This is a very common technique on all button controllers such as the hitbox. It makes higher execution combos like Chun-Li's B&B SPK combo that much easier, as it removes
it's doing the same thing as a cross-up, or the same thing as a hitbox. Nah?
It also shortened tough inputs like
you can do these exact same things on a
back, forward, and heavy slash.
On a pad, by the way.
Pressing forward and heavy slash together is condensed like one input.
You can already do this shit on a hitbox. I mean, on a. You can already do this stuff on a pad and on a hitbox and on a cross-up, right? So what this is doing, what Johnny's
may offer
showing off, is that it's kind of leveling the playing field. I think he talks about it at the end of the video.
To help assist for my Chun-Li stomp combos, which is crucial for Chun's gameplay to continue her Oki. Or maybe you favor Sonic Booms over Flash Kick and want down back to equal forward. Now the downside of this product is that it requires you to drill a hole in your current arcade stick.
Because for me personally, I wouldn't put this into an arcade stick I already own with like a stock PCB. I would build an arcade stick from scratch just for this experience, right? I would buy like a Brook UFB with the PS5 upgrade board, buy some parts, drill an additional hole inside of a case that I buy, right? Like a B&B case, B&B fight sticks. That's Johnny's business. Y'all should support that if you want to make your own fight stick. Anyways, I'm not here to shill. I would just drill an additional hole into a custom case and do it. I wouldn't do it in one of them because once you do that,
so what do you guys think about the Antagonist? Now, the old school player in me wants to think this is cheap, but when I think about the current controllers people are already playing with nowadays, it may just be leveling the playing field. And don't forget, stock controllers also have some advantages.
Thank you.
D-pad and
thank you. He showed it off. You can already do things like this on a stock pad.
Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
It requires an ugly ass grip, and you're probably gonna have to have the robot double hands to do it for years without breaking your fucking hands and never being able to play fighting games ever again. But you can already do these things on hitbox, on cross-up, and on pad. Arcade stick is so fucking archaic and old that you cannot do things like this. I don't think that this is inherently cheating, but I do think that it kind of pushes the limits on what is okay and not okay in a tournament setting. Let me hold on. Let me hop in Eric's cord. Let's see what he's. I'm in chilling. Put me in. Put me in, coach. Okay. Do I need a screen share and re-show the video or what?
No. Okay. They're not really fighting game guys, but they understand what. I explained what a. Hold on. Let me. Hold on, I'm gonna swap mics real quick. Hold on, I'm swap mics.
Oh, you're good. Again as neutral.
I'm just starting the video from kind of the beginning.
Help close the execution gap between all button style controllers and joystick users. Now it's a small PCB that installs in between your arcade.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Poverty ass fucking mic.
That shit is fucking cheating.
LMAO.
That shit is cheating.
Yeah, but think about this. It is an addition to your stick, but it's something you can already do on hitbox cross-up, which has 4 buttons, and then the additional 8. And then you can already do this on hitbox because you can hold whatever buttons you want and then still press other buttons. And you can do this on pad with claw grip.
Yeah. Okay, so look, now let me tell you why I think it's cheating. Now, essentially, charge moves are risky moves only because if you fuck it up. I'm talking about like in terms of devices. No, I'm talking about in terms of charge moves, right? Say like he said, you can like Gal. You said Gal's Flash. Isn't that down up, right?
Yeah, it's down up.
Yeah. Well, okay. So like, you know, times where we're not perfect, we don't execute shit perfectly. You know how you fuck up, down up, you get empty jump with a button.
Yeah, sure.
Now, if that's taking that away, That's literally like there's like no. I'd say there's a risk to it, but it's minimizing risk because like bro,
you
like,
can
what the
already
fuck?
you can already minimize that risk on every other peripheral. You can do that on pad.
Yes, but it
You
is
can
it
do
is
it
okay,
on.
a part of executing like high execution combos and shit like that is the execution skill gap, right? People complain about us not being able to execute, but you can do it on any controller. But when it's literally making the shit, it's literally holding your hand at that point.
Yeah,
If
so
you
it's
have a button,
hitbox.
you can press.
It's the same.
I
It's
think
the
that's
same thing.
cheating.
I don't think it's
that's
cheating. I
cheating.
think that it's making it more consistent that you won't fuck it up.
No, I think that's cheating. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's fair.
I'm sorry.
But like,
I think that is
to be
cheating.
fair, I don't know if this specific device will be legal because it is one button that can become multiple things, right?
Yeah,
it's back,
if it's automatically
that can become
that's
forward.
macro.
It's not a macro, it's a modifier. That's like saying that the Smashbox uses macros. It doesn't. There is a modifier button you have to press before you press up to get an up tilt, or press down to get a down tilt. But it is a modifier button. It's actually not a macro.
No, because if it's defaulting to another direction from doing one input, that's a macro.
All right, I have the definition of macro right here because it's on their website, which is great. No, here we go. Here we go.
Macro in terms of like niggas who play PC games like we do, macros are cheating in our
Hold on. You might be tempted to think that this is a macro of sorts, but it isn't. A macro takes a collection of inputs and strings them all together on behalf of one input. For example, there can be a macro to execute a Hadouken type move by merely pressing one button. Pressing the antagonize button by itself never will result in more than one action, as the functionality is programmed as a static truth table. It will only always do one thing. A macro.
To macros though. It's
no,
levels to this macro.
A macro, essentially, say you macro P1 electric. If you're on P2 side, you will not get electric. That is the difference. If you P1 Hadouken and you set it as a macro and you go to P2 side, it will not give you Hadouken. It'll give you quarter circle back punch.
I don't know, Beanie. That shit don't sound legal, bruh. That
I
shit
don't know if it
cheating.
will be legal, if it'll be legal or not, but it does basically the same things that the hitbox cross up and that a pad can do. It already, that's all it's doing. With an additional PCB, right? I think the bigger deal is you just have to handle it by a game basis. I think the games have to decide, hey, is this something that we want to allow to be done? Macros are all illegal.
It's gonna be niggas that can never do inputs a day in their life doing shit that they've never done before.
I don't even believe we really need inputs.
That is lowering the skill ceiling. I feel like it's lowering the skill ceiling.
I've never really cared for the skill ceiling. I still use easy inputs in DNF Duel, and I'm deity. You know what I mean?
You're a grown ass man, though, dog. No.
I still use the inputs, baby. I use the hard inputs for specific combos that need them.
That quarter circling in DNF is actually insane.
It's some demon shit, but I will never use quarter circles unless I need to.
Oh man. That's DNF's fault for not having quarter circling.
If it doesn't need them. I don't think the target audience of the game was people who came from Dungeon Fighter Online, right? So if you came from a game that didn't require quarter circle motions, why the fuck would you make quarter circle motions the only way to play the game? Right?
No, bro.
That's like if you came from Mario Party and then they randomly were just like, hey, let's make Mario Party competitive and have random motion inputs to cater to the biggest part of the fan base, which would be, hey, Mario Party fans. They're going to make sure that the things that are cool and are required are easy to do, but maybe they make them a little more difficult for those who want to delve deeper into the fighting game. DNF Duel and Grand Blue Versus inputs are legit the way fighting games should do it in like every fighting game. I think NRS probably should never have easy inputs, but
never.
For almost every other fighting game, I agree. There should be like an easy way to do things and a hard way to do things. And the hard way is just slightly more rewarding than the easy way, so that people aren't gatekept out of fighting games because maybe their hands literally cannot do those inputs. Maybe they have hand issues or dexterity issues.
My whole thing with DNF was just make these niggas do inputs, bro. That's my thing. That's what I love about fighting games. The inputs,
I love all the sick mind games that come from fighting games. That's the difference, right? Some people do like the execution. I'm a bigger fan of like the mind games and the neutral and the knockdown pressure. I like all of the things that come along with it instead of just the. I'm not an execution guy. I'm a brain guy and a heart guy. I like knowing the numbers. I like knowing the situation.
Like hard
knowing how to feel out of pit. Huh?
Yeah.
Heart-based, mind-based, and body-based.
I heard hard cock, bro.
Oh shit!
What?
Yes, sir.
What?
Not in this stream. No horny in this stream.
Yeah, that man. Whoa, you tripping? I don't know. I just think that's That's really, like you said, bro. That is literally pushing to what cheating.
I think this is pushing the boundaries on an arcade stick specifically, but I do think that for what the other controllers can already do,
Wait, shut
this
up.
isn't that weird.
Yeah, that's blackies.
Like if you look at what Hitbox already does, what Crossup already does, and what Pad can already do, this isn't really anything. This is literally just leveling the playing field between stick and Hitbox and Crossup. That's all it is.
Nah, I don't see this level in the playing field. I see that shit as cheating.
That's just because you come from a strictly I want everyone to have the execution to be able to do things.
Think how fighting games should be, man. Make these niggas play. Make these niggas play the game.
I do want them to be able to play the game, and by making the inputs easier, they are allowed to do the other aspects of the game, which are way more important anyway.
Nah, not really.
I think that sick combos do not make for a good fighting game.
Optimal. You can get by without being optimal.
I think, thank you. That's what I'm saying. You can get by without being optimal, which means why the fuck should I have to do the optimal combo that requires the quarter circle motion if I can just do forward?
Yeah, you know what, bro? Get out my court. I'm starting a Valorant game anyway, VD. I'll talk to you later, bro. I hate you.
Hey, GG's there, gamer. I'll see you later, homie.
Shake my hand, bro.
Shake my hand. Shake my hand.
Shake my hand.
Later,
you look like a double dip chocolate chip clip with charcoal Slim Jim with a gargle.
It's a fair point, right? I can see the logic behind people wanting people to actually have to do the inputs, right? But in the case of this not doing anything different from any other controller that's already on the market that you can just go out and buy, like a Pad or a Crossup or a Hitbox, I don't see really what's wrong with this controller. The only argument is people are going to consider this a macro. And I don't think that it's a macro. I believe that it's a modifier because it has a static table of things that it can accomplish. Right? A macro can accomplish literally anything you want as long as you set it to that. This cannot do that, which I think is pretty fair. Let's look at the next little part of this, right? It says here, is this legal or cheating? If devices like the Hitbox, Crossup, and Pad give access to mostly all the directional inputs at any time, why would it be considered cheating to have access to only one directional input with a joystick with the antagonized button? I think the difference between the Hitbox Crossup and this is that the Hitbox Crossup can actually technically do more things, but you have to have like a very specific controller, you have to have 4 buttons, not 1, because the static truth table of the antagonized button can only do one thing at a time. You can hit any specific combination of buttons plus lever on the Crossup or with the Pad to do even more dastardly shit than this. Let's think about that. This is strictly worse than a Crossup, but it's also more accessible. Instead of having to spend $300 on a Crossup, you can drill a hole in any custom-built stick you've already made and just pop that PCB in and a 24mm button or a 30mm button, whichever you prefer, right? And I think that it kind of it's almost like the Mixbox styled control pads, right? The drop-in, the Odins and the T-spins, those things where you can drop them into your arcade stick and try a Mixbox setup without buying an entire Mixbox. You can also make your own Crossup with 4 buttons. Yeah, you can. It's a cool thing still. Yeah, I've seen someone do it with a RAP4 actually. They drilled more holes into a RAP4 panel and they added a PS4 PCB so that they would have an additional analog and D-pad, and then they wired that up to the analog, and they had the joystick as D-pad, which I thought was weird. I thought they would have done it backwards, but regardless, right? You can already do these things or create these things, so I think that it makes it just leveling the playing field, like Johnny said at the beginning of that, or at the end of that video. Yeah. In conclusion, the Antagonist is not a macro, more of an SOCD cleaner with an extra button used to force an SOCD solution to take place. I really like this. I think this is actually really, really cool. The biggest issue is, you have to drill a hole in your arcade stick, right? You have to drill at least a 22 or 24mm hole into your arcade stick. So this is a very permanent thing, right? I mean, I guess you could just take out the Antagonist PCB and then there's just going to be a button there forever, but that will always be on your arcade stick, right? The PCB is small. It hooks directly up to your joystick, which is cool. That means that any PCB that already has directional inputs in it, you can add this as an additional PCB. You could probably add the Antagonist to a Hitbox. I don't see the point in it But I believe you could probably add the Antagonist to a hitbox or even a cross-up. There's no point to, but for adding it to a joystick, it's kind of like just adding an additional level of consistency to your inputs, right? Makes it easier to do your booms or your flash kicks, whichever you prefer. I believe you might even be able to do the instant dashes now, right? If you're holding forward and then tap twice, tap the Antagonist button twice, you should get 6, 4, 6. Oh, you get 4. Oh, so this actually doesn't give you the SOCD shortcuts. So it's still strictly worse than a hitbox or strictly worse than a cross-up, but there is neat little things that you can do with it. You order it from Buttercade. It is officially out. It's been around for about 3 months already, or 8 months already. Some people got early copies of it about 8 months ago, and it's finally coming fully to fruition. I believe the tweet was yesterday. Let me take a look at this. Look, the tweet was yesterday. No, it was August 16th. Look at that. Wow. So this was a full month ago. But I think this started to become more prominent and people started to notice it because of the yield and some controllers are cheating, some controllers aren't debacle debate that's been going on. But I do think that this is a really interesting solution to some of the problems that arcade sticks have, that they don't get to do the same things that other controllers can, right? I don't think that it's in any way cheating. I think that it's probably a little confusing to some people. I can see how some people might not like the idea of it, but I don't think specifically that a device like this would be considered cheating. I think it's more of a cleaner than a macro, right? For anyone who doesn't know what SOCD is, let me go ahead and explain real quick, because I guess, if I'm just talking over and over about SOCD, and I talked about Hitbox last week or maybe earlier this week, and you're like, what the fuck is SOCD? Simultaneous opposing cardinal directions. Right, to 8, 6 and 4, or we can go forward and backwards, up and down and up, left and right and left, right? Whichever you prefer, right? Whichever way you decide to look at it. This doesn't give you those SOCD cleaning shortcuts built into the actual PCB, right? It's on the game side or on your stick to have SOCD. That is a big deal here, is that you might need an additional PCB if yours does not clean SOCD, if yours doesn't do that automatically, right? The Hori Fighting Edge does. I believe the Combo Obsidian has a firmware update that can. The Victrix Pro also does. And so does the Hori Fighting Stick Alpha, right? These things have SOCD cleaners built into their PCBs. If yours doesn't, you're going to be able to do some real funky shit. But in that case, you're technically doing everything you can on the pad. I don't know what my PS4 pad is, but because it never has the 2 inputs at the same time. Oh, it swaps it to 4. So if you're holding forward and then it swaps it to 4 and you let go of 4, it gives you 6 again. Oh, so it would be 4, 5 with SOCD. Oh, it wouldn't be. Yeah, it'd be 4. It'd be 6, 4, 6. That doesn't give you a dash. Yeah, so you can't do any of the neat little shortcuts, unfortunately. Wow. But you do get access to the other things, so that makes a lot of sense. I do like that your head is already wrapped around it and you fully understand it. See, even as someone who really, really likes arcade stick hardware and is trying to kind of delve into the more deep shit of it, I was still confused by that. I assumed that maybe it would hit 4 and 6 at the same time because your stick is holding 6, and then it's giving you 4. But what's happening is it's taking that 6 that you had, you press the antagonize button, you're getting 4, right? So let's look at it this way, right? A character like Zasalamel in Soul Calibur 6, let me grab it in our arcade stick. A lot of situations, he has buttons that are 4-6 buttons. What that means is that you have to press back and then forward, right? You press back, forward, and then back, forward, B, which is vertical, right? And that's one of his combo filler moves, 4-6B. So now, on an antagonist, imagine that you could go back and then punch plus antagonize, and you'll get 4-6B. And you will always get that 4-6B just frame instead of missing, which is pretty cool. I don't think that it's the worst thing in the world. I think it's pretty neat. I don't know how everyone's going to feel about it and how tournaments are going to handle it, but I hope it doesn't get banned, because it basically does the same thing that a hitbox can do without SOCD, and it does what cross-ups do. Unfortunately, cross-ups, you can use SOCD shortcuts, which means that this is an even worse version of that, right? It's just a arcade stick-styled solution to the same problems that we're trying to solve, that every competitive player is trying to solve. Seems cool. I like it. I think it's pretty dope. Let's watch this video over one more time real quick, and then I think we're gonna move on to the next stuff. Let's turn the music off again. Okay, let me read what you said there, WD. Super neat for sure. If people think it's cheating, they legit didn't give 2 seconds to think about it. They just hate things that are different for no reason. I think that's how a lot of people who think everyone needs to play on an arcade stick in tournament feels, right? And the weirdest part about that is pad is what comes with a console. What are you gonna do? Fucking ban pads because they can do cheap shit? No, just use them. Learn how to use them. Learn how to use them. You know, it's fine. Whatever. You know. Same thing with hitbox. Some people have. I think the weirdest part is some people literally have hand issues. They have hand dexterity issues, right? So if you are saying someone who cannot do this motion, right, has to play a fighting game with something that's going to make them do this motion, that's silly. That's stupid. That's literally gatekeeping for no reason when we have other peripherals and controllers that are, honestly, I'm going to just call it out now, are just better, right? Ergonomically and for precision. They're just better. I have better aim with a controller or a mouse. I think I also like controller more for shooters, but that's just because I've grown up with it, right? I think that keyboard and mouse, when it comes to precision, is probably better, right? Anyways, let's watch this video through one more time, real quick.
Yo guys, check this out. I don't even have to let go of down charge to do a flash kick with this. It's insane. Same thing with booms. I can just hold back, press antagonist, and punch, and I get a boom. Crazy.
Okay, I see what you mean. WE. So what he's doing here is he's doing back and then pressing antagonize and punch, and it is canceling out his back and forcibly giving him forward and punch. Same with down. You hold down or down back, and then you press antagonize and kick, and it forces out your down back into up. I see what's going on here. That makes sense. Yeah, took 2 seconds to think about. Doesn't sound cheap at all. I mean, it sounds cheap. It sounds pretty cheap, but in a good way, right? It's just leveling the past. Yeah, see, there we go. So this is essentially a custom-made cross-up, right? Or custom-made hitbox. He took like an already established arcade stick case and just put 4 buttons, right? Wait, what the fuck is this? 5 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Never mind. Just pretend I don't. Just pretend I'm not talking.
Game controllers have seen some advancements both in the commercial and DIY spaces. All button controllers such as the Hitbox and Mixbox have lowered the price of entry for high execution combos due to the precision of button presses over traditional levers. So where does this leave traditional joystick users? Enter the Antagonist, Buttercade's solution to help close the execution gap between all button style controllers and joystick users. Now it's a small PCB that installs in between your arcade stick's main PCB and your lever.
Okay. So the only extra modification you have to do is you need an additional cable and you need a drill hole. You need additional cable because now you're taking that 6-pin or that 5-pin cable that would normally go straight from your PCB to your lever, and you're taking that and you're adding an additional one, right? Because you need an additional pin connector. I think you need I guess you only need one. Because this is a 2-pin splitter.
Small PCB that
it's a 2-pin and 2-pin, which makes a 4-pin. That's so weird. I'm not entirely sure.
When wired to a button, it acts sort of like a shift key for your joystick. In tandem with attacks, it allows for things joystick users have been missing out on. So here's how it works. Buttercade provided this diagram on how the Antagonist functions. It uses the numeric notation scheme, so here's how it translates. 1 is down back, 2 is down, and 3 is down forward. It will output as 8, which is jump. 4 is back. It will output as 6, which is forward. 5 is neutral. It will output again as neutral.
So nothing.
6 is forward. It will output as 4, which is back. 7 is up back. It will output as 6, which is forward. 8 is up. It will output as 2, which is down. And lastly, 9 is up forward. It will output as 4, which is back. Now that that's out of the way, here's some examples of how it can actually help.
Hey, yo, you know what? I think that actually makes fuzzy jumping out of the corner pretty good. Because you can input up forward on your arcade stick and then hold the antagonist button and you'll block. That's pretty, because it's holding back for you after your jump. That's pretty funny. I like that. Let me just get out of here, all right? In like air-based fighters, right? Specifically, like anything with air block. That's kind of cool.
The gameplay. For charge attacks like Guile's flash kick, you can use the Antagonist to execute the move without.
It's not really anything different though. Yeah, it's not. That's like pressing up forward and then holding back on your stick. But the difference is you don't have that travel time of holding up forward and then pressing and then also going to back, right? Now you just hold up forward and then hit the button and you'll get 4. So now you can do it without having to release your lever from the up forward position. So say you're trying to block something and then you block it and you have like an additional jump, you can attack, and then travel time is irrelevant because you have pre-jump frames. I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess that doesn't change much. True. If you're already in the air, you're doing like a super jump or a moon jump, right? Maybe it's a little different, but yeah, I guess that doesn't change too much.
Down charge. This results in the fastest possible charge time for flash kicks. This is a very common technique on all button controllers such as the hitbox. It makes higher execution combos like Chun-Li's B&B SPK combo that much easier, as it removes the need for the joystick to travel up to finish the combo. It also shortens tough inputs like supers and Guilty Gear.
This works for Guilty Gear Supers specifically because the input for Guilty Gear Super for most characters is quarter circle back, forward. So now you can do quarter circle back, just hold the back, no reason to let it go, press the antagonist button and whatever button you need. That is so fucking cool. That is so cool.
Here, which is half circle back.
Look, you can even look at his input. Look at his input.
Also short and tough.
Do you see that? Do you see that right there?
Inputs like
that was instant. That was so cool.
The need for the joystick to travel up to finish the combo.
Not the half circle. Now from the half circle, here he is. He's at the end of the half circle, and he's gonna press those 2 buttons. His hands are already hovering.
Also,
boop. That is so fucking sick. I think that's
which is half circle back, forward, and heavy slash. Where pressing forward and heavy slash together is condensed like one input. Now here's what's interesting. Since it's software,
which means buffering things like supers, depending on the input for the super, or buffering specials that require like back forward, like Mortal Kombat style specials, right? Because Garrus has 4/6 inputs. Scarlet has 4/6 inputs. There's probably a few other characters that I'm not even thinking about in Mortal Kombat, especially Mortal Kombat 11, that have like back forward inputs. That now you can like buffer them way easier. That's sick.
Programmable. In the future, Buttercade may offer variations of the default scheme. For instance, I asked him to make neutral down to help assist for my Chun-Li stomp combos, which is crucial for Chun's gameplay to continue her Oki. Or maybe you favor sonic booms over flash kick and want down back to equal forward. Now the downside.
Yeah, so this is what makes it a downside, right? He said
sonic booms over
if you favor sonic booms over flash kicks, you can change it so that now down back will give you boom. Down back will give you forward instead of down back giving you up, right? 1 will become 6 instead of 1 becoming 8. Or easiest way to put it, right? That means that you actually can't do either all the time. You have to choose. On a cross-up, on a hitbox, you can always do either. You always have the choice to do both. You have access to both tools all the time. With something like an antagonist, it's just strictly worse, but it is a neat idea. Now you get to choose between which one you prefer more. You can't do it all the time, though. I guess that's pretty cool.
Kick and want down back to equal forward. Now the downside of this product is that it requires you to drill a hole in your current arcade stick. This immediately cuts off a lot of users due to the handiwork and tools needed to accomplish this. So what do you guys think about the Antagonist? Now the old school player in me wants to think this is cheap, but when I think about the current controllers people are already playing with nowadays,
when you think about it in the sense of like what an arcade stick could always do and what an arcade stick always couldn't do, let me move my thing over. When we think about what an arcade stick could do before and couldn't do before, it feels cheap. But if you think about what every other controller on the market can do compared to stick, this isn't cheap. This is still strictly worse. You're still playing on the most archaic of fucking devices. But yeah, not even, that's what I'm saying. Like rationalize with those people who are trying to just say, okay, well, look at all these things arcade stick can do. Yeah, you can do this on stick, just takes practice. Yeah, I agree. But I'm saying like the fact that now you have a easier input for it. And obviously the case with Powder Hitbox, yeah. So I think that if you can do this on stick now, and you could already do it on pad, hitbox, and cross-up, I don't see why this wouldn't be tournament legal, right? It's a gray area. Some people are going to be real freaked out by it because people are freaked out by new things, but I don't want to be one of those people. I think that we should be more accommodative of devices and input methods that are not inherently breaking some sort of rule in the code. This isn't a macro, so it's not breaking any rule. It's doing what any other arcade stick, any other controller on the market now could do, right? In a strictly worse way, because 1, you have to wire in a new PCB, cut a hole in your stick. 2, which is kind of, that's an irrelevant point. The main point is that it doesn't actually interact with SOCD. This just basically makes your stick do an input frame 1. That's all it does. I think the 4-6 input might break some rules. No, it does not, because you are not actually holding a. You're not able to actually interact with both directions at the same time. When you switch from 6 or 4, let me show you. Yeah. The reason why is because Capcom Cup doesn't want you to be able to hold forward and back at the same time, right? So because you're holding forward and then that you're holding back and then you're pressing a button and it switches you to forward, you are now going forward. That is not even interacting with SOCD. Like you said, you're right. You're not interacting with SOCD at all. It's like me doing this. No, because the gaffer box was not doing that. That was the problem. It's as if you went from 4 to 6 or 6 to 4 in one input, in one frame, right? Which you can already do on an arcade stick if you're quick enough, right? You can already do that. That's basically what you're doing. Yeah, Soul Calibered. Exactly. Anyways, we were just covering this new device that I think this video, this was an early look, right? This was an early look. This was 8 months ago, December 16th. 2021, right? So this was 8 months ago, 9 months ago almost now. So this device has already kind of been on the market, or has been in the hands of a few people. I believe there's a few YouTubers who got their hands on it, a few like tech people who got their hands on it. It wasn't like super prominent and known about up until now, and it actually went live last month. But it wasn't. Oops, I was looking at Magic the Gathering stuff, but it wasn't actually really very much talked about until recently with the whole hitbox is cheating or pad is cheating conversation that comes up every fucking year, every 2 years. I can't wait for the fighting games can't use crowdfunding argument to come back, or easy inputs are killing fighting games argument to come back. I can't wait. I'm super excited. But with all sarcasm aside, let me know what you guys think about the Antagonist PCB and the features that it offers for arcade sticks down in the comment section below. I look at a lot of arcade sticks, arcade stick hardware. You guys know I'm a big lover of arcade sticks. I think this is pretty cool. You don't have to share my opinion. You're totally fine to agree or disagree, but leave it down in the description below. Don't forget to like the video. Subscribe to the channel. We put out talk segments maybe once, twice a week. Hopefully we remember to. And this has been Beanie Thuggish for the YouTube. Signing out and saying peace.